Okay, so today is January 27th. The time is 4:03 p.m. and we will call to order. We do have a quorum. We've got Carlin Fryer, Dallas Pipes, Maritza Gonzalez Cooper, Dr. Kristen Kraft, Garrett Wilson, Christy Schmidt, Courtney Darter Bruce, and Rich Senna. So we've got 7 out of 7, and at this time we will go into closed session to discuss Texas Government Code Section 551074. Consider and discuss the annual evaluation of the superintendent. 551074, deliberation regarding matters related to employment, appointments, resignations, terminations, retirements, and reassignments. Texas Government Code 5510821, deliberation of personally identifiable information about a public school student. And 551.072, discussion of purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. And so at this time, it is 4:04, and we will go into closed session.
Exactly. We don't know yet. We have like 12.
This is our
Oh, awesome. Hey guys, how are y'all? So, do y'all know exactly what goes on today? So a little bit? Yeah. Okay. So, I'll be doing like all the things where people come in and it's like we have those guys over there, they're with the ROTC. So they're going to go up here, and then once they put down the flag, then I'll say, please join us. So please stand for the presentation colors, and then they put down the thing. I'll say, please join our students from Perf Elementary for the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. Then y'all will walk up to the microphone. Are y'all comfortable bringing down the microphone? Awesome. Okay, that's your job. Good job. And you're at backup.
Are these the student
It's
questioners?
from her. Yes.
Who's Luca? Good question. I'm going to answer your question. There might be somebody else that wants to answer it too. But I saw the question have a very specific answer. It's yes to all of them. Yeah.
No, it's going to be a surprise. So I think once y'all ask, and then they'll be all sitting up there, so you know it's going to be someone up there. Sometimes it's more than one person, usually a couple. So. I think so. I think so. Like, I think they review the questions, and then they're like, okay, we're ready. So then y'all are going to remain up there, okay? Even when I go, we're going to do like a moment of silence and prayer. Y'all stay up there, okay? Because then it's right after that. I say, thank you, please be seated. So everybody sits down, y'all stay standing. And I go, the president, trustees, or students from Perf Elementary have some great questions for you this evening. And then who's going to go first?
We say that, and then it goes on.
I know. So, are there supposed to be 5 of y'all here?
Yes. One of them's definitely coming.
Okay.
He's my neighbor.
Oh, cool. Awesome. And then maybe the other one might not be here?
Maybe she was.
Okay.
She usually has to wait.
Okay, so for any reason, y'all stay up there, even if the other person runs late and is like, okay, now I'm ready for the question. We'll wait for them. Okay? Yes. I think you should. Say your position on student council. Are all of y'all on it? Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, y'all do that with your name. And make sure to speak loud and clear. Okay. Hi, Sarah. Yes. Did you sign up? It'll be right. There's your. If not, we'll ask Melanie, and then we can add you on there. Yeah. Do y'all have any other questions?
What are you guys doing?
Yeah, and I'll take care of all that. Yeah. And y'all don't even have to be nervous. This is so exciting.
We're gonna do great. Yeah, we do. Our
So cool. So cool.
so we don't get to be able to see our grandson
Yeah.
about 3 times a year. So we went up there.
We're missing 2 others. One is hopefully going to make it, and the other one probably not.
My husband will fly
We'll
up
see.
because he has a lot more flexibility than us, but I kind of about 3 times.
Did y'all memorize your questions? Or y'all, you did? Good job. Oh, oh, that's good. You have a, yeah, that's good. That's good. Y'all have a plan. I know. Like, school moms. Good. Awesome, guys. I know. Happy Board Appreciation Month. Have y'all enjoyed it? Do you feel different this month?
Well, now we do because it's just usually we have the meeting earlier in the month, so it
Yes.
kind of sets the tone because everything it's always like such a wow factor when we get here and see everything.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, so good. Exciting,
So
exciting.
overwhelming, the support.
Yeah, so nice. And then they give you all these beautiful little gifts. Oh, I love that.
Do you feel appreciated this month too?
Yes.
Okay.
I love it. I do. I feel happy and good,
I
and
cry
things
when I
are
give Coach
happening.
Hendricks his hug.
I can't even look him in the eye right now. I'm like, oh, but I mean, what a gift! Like, just to get an opportunity to go into like a university like that, SEC, like what a dream. But they
And to
still
coach
have
your
the
son,
time.
too?
Oh, beautiful, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. I love it.
The,
Yeah. DJ on the mic.
all right,
That's
excellent.
me.
Yeah, okay.
I'm glad you're doing that. You did a good job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
That's fun. That's a fun gig.
I know. Got the gig. Got the jam. I'm it. So, can we have some music? Just kidding. Testing. So, I have to tell you, you would have wanted to have my child, my 7th grader. Yes? This kid is like, Mom, Dad, what are you going to do to make my room look like a gym? Because he's like, so him and his brother have been sharing a room. I don't know why, but one's 13, one's 17, and I'm just like, fine, y'all are going to be roommates like you would in college. You have to share as long as y'all want to share. And now they're just like, no, we don't want to share anymore. So about 4 months ago, we said, we'll move y'all, split y'all up. One's upstairs, one's downstairs. So now, over the weekend, we're like, okay, it's the final move. We moved all the clothes, the dressers, we've done all the things, and then my husband's going to do some interior design stuff. So, my youngest is like, he's like, I know I have a rug. Can I change to a workout mat? I know. He's like, can I get those, I forgot what they're called, the blocks you jump up on?
Yeah,
And I'm like, dude, we have like a chandelier hanging. Like, no. And so, but now it's like we may create a garden gym or do something on the outside and like just like a gym gazebo or something for him. We feel so lucky. I'm like, who's this kid? He wants to work out. We did Friday family fitness at the gym, and that was our Friday night together. Like 2 hours of like working out, and my husband's like,
Hey, Stan. How you doing?
Good. Say, man. She told me that I might get so. Just say a few words. Okay. Oh, no, you?
and so anyway, isn't that wonderful?
That's cool. I've enjoyed. My son got a job at the rec center at A&M,
My God.
and he works in the gym at the rec center, and so he's really gotten out. He's been there for about. He was working out every once in a while. Now he's doing it every day. And he's getting all focused on his nutrition and his goals. And he's calling me every day. He's like, I can't remember the term he used. He's like,
Tell him I'm one to win.
Is he getting jacked, ripped?
going hard in the gym pop. Had a good chest, behind, shoulders there. He does do that
So
stuff
now
all the
I'm all
time.
like getting to the lingo. I'm like, so are we gonna do a full body split? What are we doing today? And they're just like, oh, well, let's see, da da da. But I'm like all in it now, and I'm like, and I'm making food for him, and I'm like, okay, you can have this. This is like additional protein to the protein you're having. This is really good for you for energy, for this, for that. It's like, okay. Like stuff you would normally say like, I don't know, or I'm full, I don't know. He's like, okay, I'll do that. I'm like, let's raw organic honey if you want it drizzled over like banana slices, like it'll taste like a little sweetness. And he's like, all right, I'll do that. I love it. I love it. Oh, hey Melanie. Yeah, I got the sheet over there for signing. It goes to the board president. That's right. She's on. Hey Wes. Hello, way down there. I forget, John and Krista are not going to be here.
Right?
They're not going to be here.
Right.
So you can spread out.
I got room.
We got room. Spread out. Room to spread out. So are you going to say a little Okay, so we're going to do the little, the prayer, the kids, they talk, and then we're going to do the commendations of the football team, and then I'm going to go into this, and then I'll say,
And then when that's done, I'm gonna be right here.
it's okay. And then there was a couple that there wasn't anything. And then that I saw. Right, okay, so, yeah, that one was only him, but then, yeah, you were tested, that one. Well, I can still use this word, I can't wait to see her little later. Celebrated her twins, November 29th, and then coach course is 2018. Congratulations, da-da-da.
And then
you'll
I'll,
do
hey, we got some news. Yeah. Oh, elated. Yes, well, see, now he gets a full scholarship because he's an employee. See, he was just a preferred walk-on. He was on mental right check, so it all plays into each other.
Yes, yes. Okay. I'm just going to send it here. Did she not your crowd?
Got everybody? Welcome to the January 27th regular meeting of the Boerne ISD Board of Trustees. At this time, we will come out of closed session and back into open session and reestablish the quorum. We've got Carlin Fryer, Dallas Pipes, Maritza Gonzalez Cooper, Dr. Kristen Kraft, Garrett Wilson, Courtney Darter Bruce, Christy Schmidt, sorry to get you all out of order there, and Rich Sinna. So we've got 7 out of 7, and so at this time, we will go into open session, and I will turn it over to Ms. Reyna.
All right. At this time, please stand for the presentation of colors by the award-winning Boerne champion JROTC Color Guard. Please join our students from Herf Elementary for the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence and prayer. Thank you, and please be seated. Mr. President and trustees, our students from Herf Elementary have some great questions for you this evening.
Hey, thanks for coming, guys. What do you got for us?
Hello, my name is Luca from Herf Elementary, and I'm the parliamentarian. My question is, when you were young, were you a member of student council or did you run for a class officer? If so, did that help you with your job now, and how?
Luca, that is a very thoughtful and detailed question. And yes, I was on student council my sophomore and junior year. Senior year, I ran for class president, and I was elected to that. And we had to raise money for our senior year to pay for our senior prom, stuff like that. And I also, as president of the class, had to give a speech at graduation, which was a really good experience because I had to, give something of meaning. But there were some things that my fellow students and I noticed about our school and our community that needed improvement. And so I had to learn how to be diplomatic while being respectfully forceful in what we were advocating for, because we were dealing with adults, we were dealing with the school board at the time, and the changes we wanted to see actually needed their approval. So we had to learn how to work diplomatically and build support and build coalitions. So that was an experience that prepared me for the business world and other things in life. So everything you do, whether it's elementary school, middle school, high school, will prepare you for a better future. So, and it definitely helped me give a good speech at my graduation, So, or at least I thought it was
Good question, Luca. Why did you run for student council? Why did you decide to be on student council?
I decided to run because I like helping out with the school and doing charities and yes, do you say it?
Those are great.
Charity. Oh, and donation. I can't speak today. Donations.
Donations? Okay. Those are all great reasons. Thanks for serving. We need kids to do that and show leadership. So you guys, that's awesome.
Okay, so Hazelands didn't make it today, but he's the historian, and his question was, what is the hardest part of being a board member that you did not expect?
I'm like one of the newest board members on the board, so I don't know if I can accurately answer this question, but I will say my favorite thing is being like with the people. So y'all may laugh, but my least favorite thing about this whole deal is like board meetings and sitting here. I'd rather go sit right next to you, Luca, and just kind of hang out. I love people and I love being in our community, and that's my heart and our fellow board members' hearts, just to really be with the people. But I was reminded quickly this is just a business meeting, so I just needed to get over it and deal with it. And so these meetings are great and they're beneficial, and I've learned a whole lot, but I do love being in our community with our people, so that's my answer.
Okay, and then also for Scout Bynum, she's the president. What are the challenges and or advantages of being the president of the board?
So I'll take that one. So actually, what we do, it's kind of cool the way Boerne ISD does this. So I've been president now for about 6 months, and we typically just do it for 1 year. And so I think Rich was president before that. Or no, Carlin was president before that, and then Rich before that, and then Maritza before that at some point. So anyways, a lot of us up here have been the president, which is nice because the president, one of the main jobs that I do is I run this meeting and just keep it going and, make sure that we're going. So at any point, any of these guys could probably step up and do this job, and it looks hard. It's not that hard. Yeah. No, but the president for the school district, for the school board, sets the agenda is one of the main things. So we kind of say what's going to be on the agenda and what's not, and then run the meeting. So those are kind of two of our primary responsibilities. We also get to meet with the superintendent a lot, which is fun. So.
And I just learned from Garrett, because next year I am in line to be the president. He's a great mentor. What does your president do for your PTO or for your student council? Do you guys have meetings?
Yes, we have meetings every Tuesday.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Questions?
Then I'm Emma Lou Bunting. I'm the secretary. And then my question is, do you work on one project at a time? And then also, what is your favorite project that you have done?
Anybody?
I can start and anybody can pick up. So you're asking if we do focus on one project at a time, or if we do several at once?
Yes, ma'am.
I would say it's always several at once. We always have a lot of moving parts, and it's very unpredictable because we get to celebrate the really great things, and then we have to also, be there for the hard things as well. So I like Dr. Kraft's analogy. She sometimes explains it as being a giant puzzle, and we're constantly just trying to fit those pieces together to do the best that we can.
We are about to start working on something here in early February that'll go all the way through May. We're going to approve the budget for the 25-26 school year. So that's one of the biggest jobs that we do is approve the budget and set the budget for the district. And that is for the next 4 or 5 months, we'll focus on a lot of things, but that'll be really a singular point of focus for us.
Now, Garrett, the question was, what's your favorite? And I would say adopting a budget is favorite when the budget situation looks rosy. When the state hasn't increased our funding per pupil in 6 years, it's not as much fun. So one of my favorite things is I like to advocate, not fight, advocate. I did have to learn how to be diplomatic in high school, but and you're going to hear more about this later tonight if you stay at the meeting, but we advocate very strongly for our schools and our community, because nothing's more important than giving you kids the best opportunities you could possibly have.
Yeah, I have something to say on that, but she's absolutely right. We have to do a lot of things, like everyone else out in here does, a lot of things at all the time. So there's never one thing that we're ever focused on. Of course, you can't multitask unless you're doing one thing at one time. So we're trying to do that in time block. So we have to be really cognizant of our time, and just like your parents, of your time. As far as favorite projects, we're going to be going to your elementary school and a lot of other elementary schools, and you're going to have probably members all the way up here that we've been fighting for the last week on what schools we get to attend, because only 3 of us can go at any given time, and I think all of us would love to go to every elementary school, and that's a listen and learn. So you'll be able to have leaders in your school tell us what they think and be hopefully extremely transparent so we can take that feedback. And for me, those listen and learns has been exciting and one of my favorite parts.
Hello, my name is Adeline Elizabeth Chapman. I am vice president, and my question is, what are some ideas or upcoming events that you have in store for us?
Anybody?
I think Mr. Wilson really kind of said the biggest thing coming up in the next several months is our budget, and it is at least monthly meetings, extra board meetings every month to talk about that. And the challenge of the state funding that Mr. Senna talked about. So it's a big project, and it ultimately impacts every single one of the students, and so it's big.
I have a question for you. Do you have anything specific you'd like us to consider?
No, not really.
Anything special you'd like to see, or just kind of maybe wishful thinking that we should know about?
No.
No?
Did y'all hear? The district is putting in a swimming pool.
Right.
That's going to be cool. Everybody will be able to learn how to swim. So it's going to be called the Aquatic Learning Center. That'll be fun.
All right, so let's give our students from Herf Elementary a round of applause.
Hey, Yvette, if I could just share, Herf Elementary students, I was at your school when y'all had the business fair. It was a tremendous day, and I think your fifth grade class raised a record. Where's Mrs.? There she is. Okay, you raised a record amount of money this year, about $5,000, that you're going to be able to give to your school, which is tremendous. So good job.
All right, thank you very much. At this time, if we could have the president, Dr. Kraft, and the rest of the trustees down to the floor for our commendations. Our first commendation recognizes the Boerne High School Greyhounds varsity football team. The move from 4A up to 5A did not slow down this team as the Boerne Greyhounds ended their season as UIL 5A Division II regional champions and 11-4 season record. We are proud of their hard work and dedication to the team and the tradition of excellence in athletics. In addition, head coach, Coach Shay Hendricks, celebrated 100 career wins this season when the Greyhounds beat Victoria West on November 29th in the regional semifinal game. Head coach for Boerne since 2018, Coach Hendricks has led the team to the playoffs each season since his arrival. Congratulations to both the Boerne High School varsity football team and head coach Shay Hendricks for another tremendous year.
Well, very seldom do we get the opportunity to celebrate our team and also our head coach. And so we segued out to 100 victories. He basically won all 100 here in 7 years. You know, I mean, he averaged over 10 wins a year, and that's hard to do. But Coach, when we talk about Coach Hendricks, we talk about community. We talk about our players. You know, Yvette hit it well. 7 years to the playoffs. Well, the 7 before, we didn't make the playoffs 7 years in a row. So he gets a hand for that. Today, of course, if you're on Twitter and Facebook, it's a sad day for Boerne High School, and it's a sad day for the Boerne community. But it's a happy day for the Hendricks family. They will be going to the University of Arkansas. And yes. And it is a family. Lindsay taught with us, and she was wonderful. We have a track meet because of Lindsay. It's called the 5th grade track meet. We ought to name it after her. And then we've had 3 Hendricks boys that I don't know if we win 100 games in 7 years without them. And so not only is it Coach Hendricks, but his family and Hank and Houston and Hudson. So we get to celebrate them today. And Coach, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's give him a hand, please.
And also thank you to our parents of these football players. Are there any in the audience? If you could raise your hand or please stand up. Thank you so much. Our next commendation recognizes student artists from each campus. Each year, the district selects student artwork pieces for the School Board Appreciation Calendar. This year, our front cover design is by 8th grade student Brooke Gom from Voss Middle School. Winners are selected from an evaluation committee, and we are proud to recognize all of these students. Let's give them a round of applause. I saw a lot of cameras pop up, so I know there are a lot of parents here of the art students. If you could raise your hand, and we want to give you a round of applause and thank you for your support throughout the year. Very beautiful artwork. Let's give them all a round of applause. Thank you very much. Our next commendation recognizes our incredible student leaders from across our middle and high schools. Middle schools and high schools. These students embody what it means to be a leader on campus, demonstrating each day their commitment to service, high school academic standards, high moral character, and service to others. We are proud to recognize students from the Student Council, National Honor Society, National Junior Honor Society, and Scouts of America. Thank you for being great examples for other students on your campus. Congratulations. And please raise your hand if you're one of our parents of one of these students. Thank you so much for your support. Let's give them a round of applause. Our next commendation recognizes our very own Boerne ISD Finance Department. Led by CFO Wes Scott, the Finance Department has earned 3 prestigious financial awards this school year: the Award of Merit for Purchasing Operations and the Award of Excellence in Financial Management, both from the Texas Association of School Business Officials, and an A Superior Rating in the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas from the Texas Education Association. Congratulations to our Boerne ISD Finance Department. Thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause. Our next commendation recognizes our mentors for National Mentoring Month. The Boerne ISD Mentor Program pairs volunteer adult mentors with students across the district. Mentors devote their time and make a commitment to at least a year to mentoring. Along with the Boerne ISD mentors, we also have a partnership with Hill Country Daily Bread Stand By Me Mentor Program. Through this partnership, we have 28 mentors serving elementary and middle school students. Thank you for your service with us and for making a difference one student at a time. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much to all of our mentors. Our final commendation of the evening will be shared by Dr. Kraft.
Thank you, Miss Reyna. Is Jennifer Avalos out and about? I really want to share some very special news. So if you've enjoyed perusing the website, Jennifer Avalos is the reason it all came together. And so I personally want to thank you for all you did to make sure that project was on track and high quality and delivered in a timely way, and we could not have done it without you. And so parents, if you have been on the website, you've seen our website transition, it is all because of Jennifer's leadership in getting everything all put together. So thank you so much. So step up here for a picture.
That was a huge project. Let's give her a round of applause. And before you head back to your seats, if y'all can stay right up here, trustees and Dr. Kraft, we're thrilled to share a very special video with you that we know you're going to enjoy. Let's take a look at the screens.
Happy School Board Appreciation Month from the parents of your community, and as a mother of students in elementary through middle school, we see what you do, we appreciate you. We know that it is a sometimes thankless job with lots of hours put in volunteering for the betterment of our students, our community, and this town.
Thank you for always putting us first and believing our potential.
We appreciate your vision and passion for creating a brighter future for our students.
Thank you for believing in us.
As a teacher, we thank you, School Board, for all that you do to help us teachers and students feel valued and supported every day.
Your hard work behind the scenes keeps our school running smoothly.
To all the board members, as a teacher and a parent, I thank you for all you do for us. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for helping us get this STEM building so we can achieve our goals.
Thanks to your support, we were able to get this beautiful CTE building.
You help turn challenges into opportunities for our students and staff.
We appreciate your vision and passion for students and teachers at our campus.
Your leadership shapes our schools into places where we can thrive.
Thank you for inspiring us to dream big and aim high every day.
And on behalf of Boerne Education Foundation, we would like to thank you, our BISD School Board trustees. Your commitment to our community makes a lasting impact on every school, every teacher, and every student. BEF is honored to be a part of One Boerne with you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Now, if you can gather for a photo, we'd like to get a photo of all of y'all together, please. Y'all can get in front of the mic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
All right.
At this time, we want to share a couple more videos to highlight the incredible work being done in our district. First, we'll kick things off with our core values commitment to service video featuring some of our amazing students. Please roll the video.
At Boerne ISD, our commitment to service is more than just a core value. It's a way of life. From the classroom to our community, our students are making a difference every day. Whether it's volunteering at local events, helping classmates succeed, or serving those in need, they are living out our mission of service, compassion, and leadership. Every act, big or small, strengthens the fabric of our community, and shapes the leaders of tomorrow. At Boerne ISD, service is at the heart of everything we do.
Next up, we have our BEF Wow Moment, showcasing the impactful contributions of the Boerne Education Foundation.
Hi, my name is Brianna Rangel. Welcome to Boerne Middle School South. Today's wow moment will be in the Boerne Middle School South Library with Mrs. Fitz and Mr. Dyer's math class, where the students are learning transformational geometry and ratios.
I got 3 grants. 2 were technology grants with robots, the Q and the Spiro. And then I got a grant that I wrote with the science department for the Rigamajig. We have worked with the Spiros with time, distance, and speed activities. With math, we've done ratios, proportions, and transformational geometry. And then the Rigamajig, our STEM classes truly love that engineering component of it, where they can build things with gears and pulleys and ropes and the screws and the bolts, and they really enjoy thinking with their brain with that.
Thank you for supporting every student, every teacher, and every school in Boerne ISD.
And this concludes our videos. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Reyna. Okay, at this time, we're going to go to visitors' comments, testimonials. I'll read our statement here for public comments. The board encourages comments about the district from citizens of the district or from district employees. Anyone wishing to speak, either as an individual or as a representative of a group, may do so at this time. The board asks that each participant's comments pertain to public education and be no longer than 3 minutes. The overall time limit for comments will be 30 minutes. Remember that the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on our agenda. If an issue mentioned is listed on tonight's agenda, the board will defer discussion of the issue until the appropriate time during the meeting. The board encourages the public to discuss concerns with an appropriate administrator who has the authority to address the concerns. Concerns should be expressed as soon as possible to allow early resolution at the lowest possible administrative level. Finally, please be aware that rules of decorum will be enforced during the public comment period and throughout the meeting. Disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Those who choose to engage in disruptive behavior may be asked to leave. Each participant is legally responsible for the content and consequences of his or her actions. Okay, great. So at this time, we've only got one speaker tonight, and that's Miss Sarah Falkenberry.
Hello, my name is Sarah Falkenberry, and I'm here on behalf of Boerne Education Foundation. Nicole Gallegos had wanted to be here in person, but she got last minute called away, so I'm the stand-in. But we wanted to give you a personal thank you this month for all that you do as school board appreciation. And as you saw in that WOW video of what we've been able to fund, part of it is because of you guys. Because when we go out into the community believes in our school district, and they believe in our leadership. So it makes us easy to sell our mission out there, to be successful, to bring in money, to bring grants into our community. So from BEF, we wanted to say thank you, and thank you to your families, because you spend time away from them to be here. And we are so grateful for all that you do for our community. So thank you from Boerne Education Foundation.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Appreciate that. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The agenda is approved. Okay, next up, we've got consider action, if any, regarding items discussed in closed session. I think the only item there we have is just the personnel report. So,
Mr. President, I move to approve the personnel report as discussed in closed session.
Perfect. We got a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. Personnel report is approved. Okay, next up we've got the consent agenda. And so if there's no discussion on anything there, we'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Got a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Great. Okay, flip the page. Here we go. Okay, so now we've got governance. And so we'll start with, we'll go to board member reports. Mrs. Schmidt, would you like to start? And then we can go that way and circle back around.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. This month, I attended the Program Evaluation Committee. The purpose of this committee, just as a refresher, is just like the title says, we evaluate programs that are being offered within our district to analyze how they are impacting our students and staff. This month, we talked about the TAPER review. TAPER is the Texas Academic Performance Review. An overall review of the 23-24 TAPER report was conducted. The committee discussed how the TAPER provides key data points that board strategic goals are based on. House Bill 3 goals for 2024 were met and adjusted for 2025. A brief overview of the STAR performance, attendance, graduation, CCMR, and staff data were highlighted. This is a comprehensive report for everything that's involved with our district scorecard. We also discussed the MTSS Roots Report, which is the multi-tiered system of support, which is a framework used by BISD to provide academic and behavioral support to students. It aligns with our scorecard goal of academic growth. The Roots Report is a self-assessment tool where each campus rates its MTSS practices. It focuses on 7 areas of fidelity or support and helps school leaders assess their readiness to implement MTSS effectively. The report provides a fidelity score and suggests action steps for improvement in each area. School leaders can use these insights to take action or plan professional development or build staff skills. District leaders can analyze Roots Report across the entirety of our schools to identify those needing support and those serving as models for others. Intervention planning at the secondary level continues to be an area of opportunity and focus. And lastly, we talked about the campus TSIA testing, which is the Texas Success Initiative, and which is the college placement test that evaluates reading, math, and writing skills. The committee reviewed the testing procedures, communication, training, and intervention plans for all middle and high schools in our district. These plans support our scorecard goal of advanced academics and overall CCMR achievement. The discussion also included historical data and current goals for the TSIA reading and math at each campus. Super impressed by the amount of middle schoolers that are passing this test, and the number just continues to grow, which is super impressive. Passing all 3 of these tests before you're senior or before you graduate gives you that check mark for the CCMR, and it also eliminates the need to go to a remedial class once you get to college. So it saves time, it saves money, and we continue to see progress in those tests. So thank you. Ms. Flores. That was a mouthful, but I have one other quick update. So the communications committee, as well as the PTO presidents, were invited to kind of give our new website a test run. So thanks, Ms. Avalos. We had a great participation from our PTOs and our communication committee. We were able to go through it, give feedback. We got to fix and adjust things in real time. And all in all, the new website, as Dr. Kraft said earlier, just looks fantastic. It has very easy access to popular searches for students and staff, things they use every day, the staff portal, membership toolkit, the internal search engine is beautiful. So thank you for everyone who came out to help us with that. Our next communication committee meeting is tomorrow, January 28th at 10:30, and our next PTO president meeting is February 7th at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Mr. President, I don't really have anything to comment on, as I'm looking forward to upcoming
committee meetings to report on next time.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, I'll give an update on the Legislative Advocacy Committee. Last week, we had 35 volunteers, chartered a bus, thanks to Christy. And I will add, not a penny of taxpayer money went into this. It was all donated by volunteers. But we had 35 people visit the Capitol. We visited all 181 senators and representatives, which we were told never, one district never does that much. But actually, it wasn't just one district. We had 6 of our trustees from Boerne ISD. We had 4 from Comfort, and we had 3 from Blanco, including Stephen Mackey, Coach Mackey, who does a lot of the character training in our schools. And so we had some Zoom training meetings prior to have everyone on the same page with talking points. And basically, we presented our legislative priorities, which our board adopted last August. Comfort ISD adopted almost identical priorities, as did Blanco ISD. So we're all in the same legislative district, House District 19. We're all in the same Senate district. Senator Campbell, her staff was very gracious. They had a room for our use for the whole day. And I thought I would just go around the room and have everyone share their experiences from the day, but then I wanted to share some the latest budget information. So whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I'll start off on this end. It was my first time doing this with y'all. I've been up there a couple times, but that was phenomenal. Thank y'all for organizing it and making it so smooth. I mean, we had a great plan of attack. Something you didn't mention was the students that we had that are looking to become teachers. That was really impactful for me, giving that communication to, whatever representative it was or whatever staff member, being able to speak with someone that's 16 years old looking to become a teacher. And I'm just looking at them like, how do we make this dream come true? Let's work together to figure this out, because we need to pay for this. The gentleman I was with wanted to be a band director, and God knows we need more band directors. So, we definitely need these people to be encouraged and have this as a reputable career field to go into, and we need to pay it respectfully. So it was exciting. It was great. I think the turnout was fantastic, but more than that, the reception we had, I was expecting there to be a couple, on the phone call, setting up these appointments, you get a couple people who maybe don't want to talk to you that day, and I was expecting that face-to-face, and it wasn't the case at all. Very, very warm experience, and I appreciate y'all putting together. I think we got the ball moving. Everyone I talked to seemed like what our agendas were right in line with what they were. It didn't matter if they were Republican or Democrat. And so I think these things will move forward. I feel really, really promising, and then it'll hopefully make our budget meetings a little bit less stressful. But I felt really promising leaving there. Usually that's not the case when you leave a government building. So, and it hasn't been my case in the past, but I felt great about it. It was a good experience.
So I echo what Dallas just said. It was a great experience. This is my second time doing that, and it was just as great. What I will say is something that, again, with warm reception, and from what I gathered from speaking with everyone and showing them our legislative priorities, is that everyone basically said, these are items that we can get behind. We support these target items that you have on here. And so something that, of course, just that I touched on was the school vouchers. I pointed out that the governor has said, I believe that he set aside $10,000 per student for a school voucher, yet our daily allotment at $66,080 per student hasn't changed since 2019. So that was a challenge that I, told most people, is that, hey, how come he's allocating $10,000 per student for a voucher, but yet over here on the student allotment, this is what he has and hasn't changed. So that was everyone that I spoke to, and I went to 10 different of large legislators' offices. They all concurred and agreed, and we're all against vouchers, so I thought that was interesting as well. But it was a great experience, and so thank you all so much for working hard on that, and I look forward to doing it again in 2 years.
Yeah, thanks to Rich and Christy for organizing that. Like everybody said, that was just a really, really well organized trip. I think everybody, all the time and preparation that went into, training everybody that went on that trip really paid off. I think a lot of people heard from the representatives and senators, if they met with them or their chief of staffs or adjutants or whatever, that these were some of the most informed people and best meetings as far as they had experienced with people coming to their offices. And I think we heard that all day from a lot of different places, that everybody knew that the folks there that we brought were knowledgeable and knew what they were talking about. And that's a big part, because y'all have there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, we've got the Community Leadership Academy and BSAC and all of that people take part in, but also thanks for training everybody on all that stuff. So it was a great day.
Yeah, I agree. I was super excited to see our 6 students join us. That was really special. And next year, Miss Murrah said she wants the whole class to come and make it a field trip, and I think or in 2 years, excuse me. I think that's a fantastic idea. I enjoyed helping plan the trip. When I went 5 years ago, talking to chief of staffs, and some of them that don't deal with education on a day-to-day basis, I was educating them on what our basic allotment was and what our needs were. This year, everybody knew what the basic allotment was. All of our priorities were on their radar. Everyone we talked to is going to have a vote. Talked to a lot of education aides, and I'm just really hopeful. Everyone was super receptive. Really just impressed by how so many community members came together with one mission. So I feel hopeful. I think we have a couple people in the audience that went with us too. So thank you.
I'll keep mine short and sweet. I think y'all have really said a lot of great things about what I experienced as well. But I think for me, what I want to reiterate or just to acknowledge is local representation and how important that is. And to be able to take a large group from Boerne, I think it shows our commitment to our staff that we love and that we want to fight for to get more funding. And it was amazing, the conversations that were had. I didn't realize this, but there were like 900 and counting bills that affect our school districts and our children. So I felt just very honored and humbled to be able to walk down the halls and those individuals to speak with us and really have heartfelt responses. And they were very receptive, so I was grateful for the opportunity. But I think local representation, it just exemplifies our heart for wanting to stand behind our teachers and our staff of Boerne ISD.
It's great, thank you. And it was a really good feeling, because we did more than double the number of visits that we did 2 years ago. We had double the number of volunteers. So I think people in the Capitol know who Boerne ISD is. If they didn't know before, they know now. But the other thing that I thought was good was we had a coalition. So our state senator saw multiple districts from her district and that were serious about the issues that we presented. Since our visit, there has been an update in terms of budgets, that the preliminary budgets that have been released by both the House and the Senate. And just to go over a brief, well, actually, I think it's all on here. Yeah, we had 4 priorities that we adopted. One was to increase the basic allotment to keep pace with inflation, which has not occurred, as was mentioned, in 6 years. 22% inflation, no increase in the basic allotment. That's the funding vehicle that generates our so-called entitlement. That's what it's referred to. And of course, there's weights on top of the $6,160 for economically disadvantaged students, special ed, gifted and talented, current technical education. So our total entitlement in Boerne ISD comes to a little over about $8,200, $8,300 per student is what we end up getting. So we called for an increase in the basic allotment. Secondly, to create and fund a permanent teacher retention allotment. 2 years ago, the Senate proposed a one-time retention stipend for teachers. Well, that's very nice, but one time, it's once and gone. And where whoever you talk to in the Capitol talks about teacher pay. Well, yes, we need to, $9,000 less than the national average is Texas teachers. But, we do have a slightly less expensive cost of living than the national average. So the real gap is around $5,000, $6,000, but we're still under the national average. And I don't think we consider ourselves average in any way, shape, or form. Texas has one of the highest four-year graduation rates in the nation, and there are many other accomplishments that we have as well. So there was $4 billion in the current biennial budget for 24-25 unspent because bills never passed to actually appropriate the money. So we felt that would be a good starting point in terms of funding some of these priorities. Third one was school safety. The mandate came out from the state to have armed security at all of our campuses. They pick up about 20% of the cost. Well, just like Austin doesn't like it, and when Washington does unfunded mandates, why would local governmental entities like it when Austin gives unfunded mandates? So that was a third pillar. And then the last one was property tax relief. There's been quite a bit of it, actually. And people may say, well, why are you advocating for that? Don't you need more money? Well, the reality is, if the state were to get back to its traditional level of support for public ed, which is half of the cost of public ed, it had fallen as low as 35%. If we got back to that, that would not only give more money to school districts, it would also allow us to reduce the tax rate, which is very popular in any community, particularly here where 60% of our households don't even have kids in the schools. So those were our four priorities that we focused on. We already mentioned that we visited all 181 state Senate and representatives. I think the Senate was not in session. It's rare that we meet more than 3 or 4 state reps. The group met probably 30 this time, some of them for as long as 45 minutes. So there was good one-on-one participation. And I mentioned, of course, it was fully funded by the volunteers. Now, here's the latest budget update, which came out a couple of days after our visit. It was announced by the controller that there's $24 billion available for new spending. Now, there are a lot of priorities, and everyone's fighting for this money. Right now, the public education gets just under 40% of the statewide budget. So you might think, well, golly gee, 40% times 24 billion is over 9 billion. Well, we'd love it if that's what they were going to allocate. But water infrastructure is a huge issue. One of the leading senators was pushing for 5 billion. The initial budget calls for 2.5 billion. I was told by a member of Guadalupe Blanco River Authority they need 10 billion. So the 2.5 billion is a start, but it's the water people aren't necessarily totally happy. There's, I believe, $5 billion in there for the energy grid to avoid the disaster that happened a couple of years ago. Legislators are talking about teacher pay. There's a push for school choice. Although it's interesting, is it really parental choice or is it the private school's choice? You know, they get to cherry pick who they take, but that's a whole other issue. We talked about property tax relief. That's always a big thing in Austin. And of course, border security. Now, the initial budget did reduce the amount of money for border security from $8 billion down to $6.5 billion to fund some of these other things. But the reality is they're hoping that the federal government will do its job and pay some of the cost. So I suppose there's potential in the future for some of that money to get reallocated to other needs in the state. The point behind all this is there's a lot of competition for the money. Now, the Senate and House proposed budgets. They're basically almost identical in size. They both allocate $5.2 billion in new public ed funding. We were hoping, quite honestly, for, like I said, around $9 billion. But this is the preliminary budget. It could change. It did change back in 2019 when House Bill 3 passed and there was an infusion of money into public ed. But we have a lot of work to do to get there. The Senate, of the $5.25 billion, the Senate proposed $4.1 billion in a teacher retention allotment, much like we proposed in our legislative priorities. In fact, when I met with the 2 senior aides to the Senate Education Committee, they said, your proposal in Boerne is almost identical to what we're putting out. Well, that's great. That's wonderful. For the 55% of our budget that goes to teacher salaries and compensation, under the Senate bill, we're going to do great. The problem is the other 45% relies on the basic allotment, and the Senate budget does not call for any increase in the basic allotment. So this is a problem. The Senate bill does provide $400 million or doubling of the safety allotment, which would generate, some additional money for us, which is great. And then $750 million for the teacher incentive allotment, which is a program that I believe Dr. Kraft will be rolling out within, it's a phased rollout throughout the state, and we're not there yet. The House did the same thing, $400 million for safety, and they just dedicated $4.85 billion to be determined for ed. It could be an increase in the basic allotment. It could be teacher pay. It could be a combination. We're really not sure. The other thing in the budget was that the golden penny yield, which right now generates a net $3.5 million for us. I believe that's the number, right? Or it's 8.8 million. 8.8 million, yeah. The yield on that's going to go up around 3%, which will help us out a little bit. And then next year it's going to go up another 5 or 6%. So that'll come in handy. Where do we stand? Oh, okay. So there we go. I already went through these numbers. Okay, these are the numbers of where the money is going to go to. $2.5 billion for water versus the $5 billion request. The energy grid, additional property tax relief. Where do we stand so far on our legislative priorities? Teacher pay and retention allotment, that's going to be part of a bill that has not been filed yet, but it's going to be called the Teacher Bill of Rights. It's not going to be just compensation. It's going to be about training. It's going to be about discipline, support for discipline in the classroom, and a bunch of other things. The increased aid for safety, Senate Bill 260 was filed by the chairwoman of the Senate Finance Committee. And if she proposes something, it's going to happen. That's the $400 million, and then the property tax relief. But unfortunately, no increase yet in the basic allotment. So the Senate Finance Committee has a hearing on February 10th. I will be attending. Anyone else that wants to join, please, we can send a team up there. You wait all day, you get 3 minutes of fame, and you get to speak for 3 minutes, But hey, it's fun to go to Austin, At least I think so. Okay, the next steps is we need to continue to advocate. There are several folks that were on our trip that asked to join our legislative advocacy committee. Will testify at legislative hearings. Community engagement. We're going to need to rely on our community members to pick up the phone and call, send emails, hound our legislators because they respond. Homeschool people do this all the time. You wonder, when are they teaching their kids? They're always on the phone with the legislators, I'll tell you. So we need to really stretch that in our community, as well as have follow-up visits. So in any event, those are our next steps. And I don't know if any of you folks have any questions or thoughts, but we have a lot of work left to do. Let's put it that way.
I'd like to give a shout out to Eric. Thank you for being there at 6:15 in the morning so that we could help share our story. It was still dark out, so thanks for being there.
Great. Thanks, Rich. Go around. Anything over here? Yeah. Committees,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll start with committees. I was able to attend the technology committee last month. That was December 18th. And the biggest point that we were working with there from the meeting notes is the deployment of the additional 400 iPads and consolidating existing iPad carts to ensure that standards of 22 iPads in all kindergarten and first grade classrooms, deployed 222 Chromebooks to prioritize areas identified by T&L as needed, dedicated classroom devices installed for sharing with other classrooms, deployed smartboards, to our new classrooms in additions, and that was mostly like Viola Wilson. And of course, I had to ask why iPads and not the Google guys, because I get hit on being the green dot. So apparently iPads last a lot longer, so we gotta love the iPads. The new P-Tech building over at Champion, that project is being deployed, the new network to the building. Data privacy agreement was worked on, phone system upgrades, and cybersecurity. The next meeting is gonna be February 5th.
We had the safety and security meeting a couple of weeks ago. It was really good. We reviewed kind of the previous training session that all our SROs had, and along with a lot of other folks from around the state that came in and helped out with that training. It was a great event, and so of course always just looking at making sure that we're staying on top of what we can with technology, assistance of technology, and all other factors when it comes to safety and security of our kids and our campuses. So it was a great meeting, and we'll have one again in April, and then I'm going to be on the PTEC committee as well, and we'll have our first meeting coming up in the next few weeks. Thank you.
Great. We also had the Finance Committee meeting. We went over the quarterly investment report, which our portfolio has increased by about $161 million this year. So this covers from July to December of 2024. Here is the 6-month time frame we're talking about. But we have seen the yield to maturity on our portfolio decrease, as everybody's aware. I'm sure the Fed's dropping rates. I think the Fed funds rate's gone from 5.5 to 4.5 roughly, and that's basically what we've seen in our bond portfolio, or just our investment portfolio, is that we were making this time last year probably 5.5 roughly, and now our average yield to maturity is 4.63. We're still enjoying that. That's a whole lot better than it was in 2020 and 2021 when rates were at zero. But we earned about $3.16 million there. So that's good. It's not as good as it was, but it's still good. We went around and just talked about the BSAC meetings and how those were going. I think everybody was very positive on those. We've had a lot of really great engagement from the community in those meetings. You can tell people are really excited. It's such a difficult thing. School finance, is a very complex issue. And so it's really great just to have so many people in the community trying to dig in and figure out how it works and care enough about the school district to really dig into the numbers. And so we've had a really great turnout there and a lot of talented folks there. We had a SHARS update. So SHARS, as for those who have to look it up every time like me, it's School Health and Related Services. The district remains optimistic that the appeal process will yield a favorable outcome. So what SHARS is basically the money that we get reimbursed for from Texas Health and Human Services for medical services that we provide that they reimburse us for that. So whenever we dole out medical services to our students. So that is under appeal. The amount of money that we should have gotten and have not gotten is under appeal, and we remain optimistic that it's going to turn out okay, but it's going to be a long process, and it may not be near as good as it could have been. But hopefully there will be at least some sort of a windfall in the future on that. We talked about the budget timeline, and we talked about that a little bit earlier, how we're going to start that in February and then just move towards adopting the budget here in June. The demographic, we will get the PASA report following this board meeting, and then that will allow all of us time to review it for our February 3rd meeting. So everybody take a really good close look at that. They're going to give us an updated demographic report for us to use in the budget process. And so we discussed that. And that was the finance meeting. It's a good meeting, and we'll have more from Mr. Scott later, of course. So anybody else? Anything? I think that covers all the meetings. Okay, great. Dr. Kraft.
All right, thank you. If Rich could pass down the clicker, I'll need that in just a few minutes. So I just want to give a quick update on our enrollment. I always start with that number. We are currently at 11,117. In your board materials, you do have the latest information on our attendance, and so I just want to thank all of our principals for the hard work they do to keep encouraging kids to be at school every single day, and we're seeing really good results because of your efforts, and so we appreciate you and all of your teachers. But I first want to say thank you to our operations team for all that they did on our snow day last week, and really that's the reason this meeting moved to tonight, and so we appreciate our families making accommodations to be here this evening. But there's a lot of prep work when you have bad weather coming in and freeze and ice and all the things. And so our operations team and construction and planning team and transportation team, they really were getting facilities ready. And then once the snow melted, folks went out and checked buildings twice. Operations was there morning and afternoon. Transportation drove routes just to double check any areas around town that we wanted to put our own eyes on. And we just had great collaboration with city and county officials all throughout the winter weather, and hopefully that's our last one. But we do have the minutes, so we don't have to make up that school day. And then Saturday we had our CLA safety and security session. It was a great session focused on safety and security measures that we have here at the district, and then our partnerships. And so we actually had fire trucks here, and had actually I don't know the right term for the dogs, but the canines, thank you, were demonstrating how they put those canines into action and take care of our community. But as we think about tonight, January is Board Appreciation Month, and it's a little delayed because of the bad weather, but you can see from everyone here tonight was really wanting to honor you and all the goodies that you had, just for folks taking a minute to say thank you. There's nothing like a handwritten note that we really don't handwrite notes too much anymore, but I hope you enjoy reading all of those, and I thank you for your service. And you'll notice tonight that we had a focus on commitment to service, because not only is it you all giving your time to serve our community, but we also want to instill and highlight our students who are student leaders as well. So you saw National Honor Society, National Junior Honor Society, you saw some of our Eagle Scouts who were there in the mix as well, and our student council. And so really January should be a celebration of all of our student leaders, and I hope that you got a sense of that this evening. So thanks to everyone who put together those videos. While we're in January, and February is actually just days away, and we have another meeting on Monday, February 3rd, but we're already planning for summer school. And so plans are in motion. Our elementary summer school will be hosted at Kendall Elementary, and the principal selected is Kim Stewart, and the secondary summer school will be at Boerne Middle School South, and our principal for that program will be Lauren Sanders, and the assistant principal, Austin Smith. So summer programming is very specific and really led by invitations at the campus level, and so principals, teachers, assistant principals, instructional coaches, they're all working really hard on their campus to intervene now and support all kids, but then also being very strategic with which students may benefit from additional time in the summer. Our parent surveys went out Friday night, so we're looking forward to getting those back, our parent surveys and our secondary student surveys. And then you mentioned the passive report, and so I will hit send on that to you all this evening, so you have the passive report. It's a mini report, a mini update. ELT spent a good hour, if not more, last week pouring through it and really examining what does it say. And every member of executive leadership team really was thinking about what does this report mean for my area. And so we had great conversations about just what's coming, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts as well. But I do ask, take a look at it ahead of time, send in any questions, and that will kick off our first budget meeting, which is February 3rd. And then I want to end with just sharing a quick overview of the results that we received from NSPRA, the National School Public Relations Association. So as I think about all that we've accomplished in the past school year, we should all be filled with incredible pride at the service that we provide our students and our staff. But over the past year, I've also seen opportunities where we can better leverage and engage our stakeholders. And so that was what this process was all about. This was a process that took many, many months. We always seek to be better than the day before. We took an opportunity to have a third-party review our communication and engagement strategies from top to bottom, and the process began in the spring, continued through the fall, and now sharing the results with our community today. There is quite a long document online as a public record, but really when you look at the recommendations, it comes down to these 10. We've learned so much about how encompassing a strong engagement plan is. And there's a high-level overview for individuals to view. And these are very thoughtful steps. I look forward to reviewing it with our principals, and it will be a great tool for our executive leadership team, and Dr. Dominguez, our executive director of district community relations, reviewing this with her team and just uncovering all the great ideas that are there. And we'll be sharing this with the communications committee tomorrow in our meeting. So I welcome any questions, but that really wraps up my superintendent report.
Thank you, Dr. Kraft. Any questions, comments for Dr. Kraft?
I think, having read the communications report, it was very thorough. And I think it's a sign of strength when an organization brings outside subject matter experts in, says, okay, what are we doing right? What can we do better? How do we improve? And I know over the years we've had different kinds of reviews or audits like that, and I just have always found them to be helpful. So I appreciate that this was done.
Okay, thank you very much. So next up, we've got the finance portion of the evening. So Mr. Scott, if you want to enlighten us with that.
Good evening, everybody. As we head into a really interesting and challenging budgeting season, I thought we'd take a little time to talk about some of the timelines, events, resources that we're going to have as we get into the budget season. We won't be talking about anything specific in the budget tonight, but just some of those items. So, of course, the budget season's highlighted by up to 5 budget workshops, and we'll end with adoption at our regularly scheduled June board meeting. We're required by law to adopt in June, and so our first workshop will be next Friday. That's been mentioned a couple of times. I'll be leading that meeting, and we'll be talking about some of the significant factors that will be affecting the budget. We'll talk about estimated available revenues, and we'll talk about the demography report as well. Ms. Prune will lead the March 3rd meeting, and she'll be talking about staffing and compensation scenarios. Larissa Flores will lead the April meeting, or the April workshop. She'll talk about programs and budget initiatives that we want to consider. And then the May meeting will be workshop number 4, and I'll be leading that meeting again. That's when we'll bring it all together. We'll see a whole picture of the budget for the first time, and if necessary, we'll come together and talk about the budget again in the that'll be a very late May workshop if we need to do that in a legislative session. If I remember right, we've had to have that 5th meeting a couple times to talk about compensation scenarios and wrap up the budget. All right, one of the things that the district has done to prepare for the budget this year was to gather volunteers that were interested in contributing to the district from a budget perspective. So we put out a public call for folks to apply, and got over 80 applications. Have 47 community members come together once a month for next month will be our 5th time to meet. The goal of that committee is to examine possible revenues and examine possibilities, in revenues and expenditures to create capacity to address a lack of action by the state government, and even if Austin does act appropriately, to be sure that we're doing everything we can to provide competitive salaries, program needs, and maintain that capital replacement program that's so difficult for a district like ours. Their charge was to assess and prioritize financial needs, along the lines of growth and capacity. Being a fast growth district has its own set of challenges. Take a look at how our educational programs are going to have additional needs in the future, and be sure that we're operating efficiently and sustainably. We need to consider the classroom above all, and the point of the committee is to generate recommendations to the board, which we will have representatives from the committee at the March meeting to talk about those recommendations, and after that's done, to continue to advocate for the district in our community. These are 4 working groups that were established. Operational efficiency, retain and recruit quality staff, revenue generation, and reach and impact. So operational efficiency is where you're looking at almost everything non-payroll and mostly non-educational, all your support services, to be sure we're operating efficiently. Retain and recruit quality staff. Larissa and Jill have done a really good job of focusing on how we can help support the teachers, our number one resource. Revenue generation, there's been all kinds of interesting ideas, creative and thoughtful ideas that have come out of revenue generation, and Reach and Impact is our advocacy group, and they've been very active already. It's been wonderful to watch them work. All right, as we go through the budget process, we'll have to have multiple scenarios to address everything from the state not acting to putting forward models that show what would happen if the latest and greatest budget proposal that week, how that works for the district. We need to be very proactive in what we do. Once again, the classroom is the highest priority, and being strategic about what we do will help us create capacity in our budget. Budget capacity and budget flexibility are the primary goals. And with that, I'd be happy to entertain questions or listen to discussion.
Anything from Mr. Scott? Any comments?
Just a comment, BSAC, I've been impressed with the caliber person that's volunteered to serve on that. Spoken to a number of them, they feel like they're learning a lot. But what was really interesting was the communications audit, I guess you could call it, gave the district high marks for a lot of, teacher to parent, school to parent, district policies, but a lack of knowledge on the finance end of the district, which is not surprising. I think that's probably the case in every district, but it underscores that component of BSAC of why it's important to educate the community, because I don't think they're really aware. If you went out on Main Street, Boerne, and asked 100 people, are you aware that the basic allotment hasn't been increased in 6 years? They wouldn't know what you're talking about. But that's the world that we live in, so I appreciate the committee being formed. I think it's doing good work.
Good. Ready?
We moving on to the next item?
Yes, sir.
All finance all day. All right. You've been provided the results of operations for the district through the period into December 1, 2024. We're halfway through the year. The results of this report is within expectations. I don't see anything in particular popping out from a spending percentage at this point in time. I do notice that if you notice every month, that child nutrition fund, that deficit gets a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller because we spent money up in the summer related to getting a new point of sale system. It's been greatly beneficial, but you had that initial expense up front that put them in the hole, and they've been working that off every month. I believe that'll come out to a surplus before the year is done. The debt service fund, this is the last month that we've been collecting property taxes in a significant amount since October, right? And so you've got 34 million in revenues at this point in time, and only 6.6 million in expenditures related to the August payment that we made. But at the end of this week, we'll spend about $30 million to pay off principal and interest related to our outstanding bond debt. One of those transactions will be our early defeasance of the 2016 debt. That will be $4.5 million that we'll dedicate to the. If I remember right, it's the last maturity of the 2016 bonds, which is 2046, if I'm not mistaken. Paying that off early will save the district $3.8 million in interest. Okay. We received about $60,000 in donations to the district. That was highlighted by a little over $20,000 from the Davis Family Foundation to Boerne High School for discretionary use in the principal's account. We're thankful to the Davis Foundation and every single donor that contributes dollars, time, effort to the district. We have no budget amendments to talk about in this month. The last page in this report is related to tax collections. We've collected 81.21% of our current levy through the end of December. That is in line with expectations. It is about a half a percentage point behind last year. Those tend to vary year to year. We'll have a much better idea of how we're doing overall after the January collections come in. And with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions or comments related to this report.
Any questions from?
Yeah, I've got a few questions. Wes, on the tax collection, we're kind of in line with last year, which is good. We've given out $2.5 million in early payment discounts, which a lot of districts don't do. So yeah, that helps us get our cash in. How are collections going so far in January? Because I know it used to be that we would get the report at the beginning of the next month, but now you arrange to have the money wired to us every day, right?
Yeah, the assessor collector wires money to us on a regular basis. Not quite daily yet, but we're going to get there with them on that. But it's much more regular than it was in the past. We've collected about 10.1 million in January through today. You compare that to 12 million that was collected in January last year, and consider that most of your collections are going to be in this week, the last week.
This week. Mm-hmm. So we could, okay, good. So a majority of what's uncollected will come in this month. So, but by getting the money on a regular basis, you're allowed to put it in the pool earlier than you did in the past years, correct?
Every deposit that comes from the assessor collector goes straight into our investment pool account. So it's earning money for the district from the second we get it.
Very good. Okay, you answered my question on the defeasance, the $4.5 million to the 16 series, and we're going to save $3.8 million of future interest. That's good. Our attendance, Dr. Kraft, you mentioned it's 11,117 as of today. We budgeted, what, 11,060 for attendance for the year?
We budgeted 11,060 in enrollment. And 93.75 of that as attendance.
And so far, I know at Snapshot we were about 11,100 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now we're a little bit higher. And our attendance rate is what?
The ADA percentage is, which is a TEA formula, is like 96%. Those are the reports that y'all see. If you take it as a percentage of enrollment, like we talked about during the budgeting process, we're at 94.5. So very much over what we budgeted.
What we budgeted.
Continuous improvement every year, and we've seen that percentage just go up and up and up and up.
So whether it's higher attendance rate, higher enrollment, that'll generate more money from our entitlement that is currently projected.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
And investment income, you're confident that we'll meet or exceed the budgeted amount of investment income?
I am. Through December in the general fund, we had $1.3 million budgeted for investment income in the general fund. We started out with $800,000. We made the last time we did a budget, and then when we increased that by $500,000, we always want to on our revenues, we always want to underestimate our revenues and be very conservative in that, especially with investment income, which we don't want to rely on recurring expenses. We don't want to rely on investment income for recurring expenses. So we made that $500,000 adjustment to the last budget amendment related to the one-time payment to employees in December. That's an appropriate use of those funds, one time. I think that we'll come in about 1.6 million in the general fund.
Okay, so whether it's extra investment income, higher entitlement due to higher enrollment, attendance, these are all contributing factors. And the last thing I noticed, we're kind of right in line with at the 50% mark of the budget year, we're kind of right in line with the spending percentages of the last few years. And we normally don't spend all of our budget. Do you see the same kind of thing developing this year?
Historically, we spend about 1% less than we budget, and I don't anticipate anything less at this point in time.
Okay. Thank you.
On the ADA, the budget you said was 93.25, right? Was budget, and that's in comparison to the 94.5, not the 96.
Yeah.
We're beating that by 1.25, not 2.75.
I know it's confusing to because the percentage of enrollment is the West calculation, because I think it's similar when we talk about the budget is we our revenues generated by the amount of kids we have here, and it's easier to say we're going to have 11,060 kids and we're going to have 93.75% of them, but you go through that TA definition of ADA and those reports that you guys see every week from our PEMS department. They calculate kids differently. Like our pre-K kids only count for half a kid, right? Now, a lot of our kids in our academy only account for half a kid because they're there for a shorter period of time, so it generates a higher percentage, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I move to approve the budget amendments, donation report, and tax collection report as presented.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, the budget report is passed. So that brings us to the end here. Future business for February. We got an exciting meeting, actually. Two really good. The tapers, that's always fun. That's really, really good data to look at. And then special education and Section 504 updates. So looking forward to that. And that will entertain a motion to adjourn. Got a motion? Second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned at 7:55. Don't forget to hug a school board member.